Yeah, this is one of my, yes, no problem at all, Fred. One of my favorite products to discuss this with. Dr. Matthew Shapiro, who is now practicing in Oregon, but at the time was at UCLA, we were together at a meeting, and he said, I looked through your catalog today, John. I have a patient that's in bad need of a really good infrapatella strap, and I noticed that you guys don't carry one. And I said, well, Dr. Shapiro, the reason we don't is we've never had an interesting idea on how to do it better than what's out there. The CHOPAT seems to be the standard of the industry. He says, oh, I can tell you that the CHOPAT has been this patient's particular problem. He says, I scoped his knee the other day, and his patella tendon looked at it as if it had been rope burned. He said, when you look at the diameter of the CHOPAT, it's a small diameter, about the size of your pinky, in this hard rubber, and only a small portion of that comes directly against the skin. He says it was wearing a little bit like the cowboy's rope over the side of the cliff on the patient. And he says, I don't believe that that's the way that it works. And I said, well, how do you describe to me how it works? He says, I can do better. He said, let's leave the meeting, and we went across the street to the cadaver lab. He opened up a knee in the cadaver lab, and he showed me the firing mechanism of the patella tendon. And it was really exciting because we could get right down to the attachment point, and he could show me what we were trying to protect. And he believes, Dr. Shapiro believes, and I believe with him, that it's shock absorption that is being, these jumpers and runners and are throwing towards that patella tendon with attachment point, and this shock he wanted to dissipate. So we went back and put our hats on, and I came up with a design, but we had to find a material, and Matt said, find me the best foamed shock absorbing material in the world. And we looked everywhere on the internet, finally came up with a company in Europe, they were in Scandinavia, called Grondike, and they came up with a foam that was a foamed silicone. And it was a combination of silicone and urethane foam together. We got a number of the varieties of their foam in various thicknesses. But one of the things I wanted to show you is the shock absorption value of this product. It accepts shock and translates it completely. I feel nothing. So our very first design, I designed one that looked like a bow tie, because I wanted all this energy to be sucked up and shot down through the quadriceps mechanism and down into the gastrocs. And I thought, boy, I've got this all figured out. And we carried it over to the players at UCLA, and they said, that looks like a bow tie. We're not gonna wear that, that's goofy. And so I went back to Martha Ortega, who's one of our R&D gals who's been with us since the very beginning, and she's so brilliant and so talented. And she came up with what she and my daughter Shannon called the smooch. And the smooch is this set of shiny lips that we encapsulate the Grondike foam in, and we also put above that a piece of rubber that's non-slip. And so we don't want this to move. So it's a non-slip rubber that's on top of this. So this patella strap was generation 1 of the Matt Pat strap. It was called the Matt Pat strap at first because we designed a patella strap, and it loop locked behind the patient on the across the top of the brace so that you could put focal compression downward, and it was a very, very successful product until we went to a meeting in Idaho, and one of the head trainers from the University of Nebraska came up to our booth, and he said, I love the idea, I love the shock absorption, but I'm concerned about the loop lock buckle coming in contact with the fibula head, 1, and 2, I'm worried about it coming in contact and becoming a weapon for the defensive team to grab because it's so secure that they can tackle with it. And so Jim and I went back immediately, and as a matter of fact, this was a fellow by the name of Weber also, Jerry Weber, who's still at the University of Nebraska, and we designed the semi-universal version. And this one had no loop lock, it was Velcro closure, and to create the focal compression, Jim and I came up with this downward focal compression strap. This was probably 2 years into the evolution of the product. Same shock absorption, now using it differently. couple weeks later, I went over to, brought that by to show Dr. Shapiro at UCLA at our prototype, and while we were at the trainer's room, in came the tennis team. All of a sudden, I see this product on the arms of the tennis players. And I said, Dr. Shapiro, this is the Matt strap. It's supposed to be used, the Matt Pat strap is supposed to be used as a patella strap. He said, John, tendonitis is tendonitis. Whether it be the patella tendon or the carpal radialis brevis, it's still a muscle and attachment that we have to protect. And so tendonitis is tendonitis. Let's give it shock absorption there. So we came back with this, and now we had a brace that we were using for both tennis elbow and patella tendonitis. It was a very successful product. Some of our customers, great customers, said, well, this is terrific, but can you build one that's universal? I know you have one that's two size, semi-universal, but can you build one with loop lock that's universal? So we set out to build the universal one. And this was a collaboration with Dr. Shapiro and ourselves, and we made a long version of the patella strap. You attached it once for the circumference, you then cut off the piece that was in excess, and then you just close the product. It still gave you the focal compression, but now one size fit all, and you can use it for both patella tendonitis and for lateral carpal and medial carpal epicondylitis. And the other thing that was so neat is Jim came up with this neat little lanyard that allowed the brace to give you that final compression. You could hook it up and then compress it, and allowed it to slip and lock in place. And then we got it out to the field, and we made it long enough so that they could now control brachial tendonitis, and all of a sudden we were getting other new customers. And bicipital, they could put it on the bicep also, so we were getting bicep tendonitis also. And now we're happy to say we've just come out with the Matt 2, which is a brand new iteration of our product. It's lower profile. We're using another version of the Grondike foam that gives us the same shock absorption, but we can do it in a thinner piece now because it's so effective. And inside we have a little piece of aluminum that allows us to bend it and keep it in place wherever we want it. And it's just the second generation dressed up and ready to go, and another wonderful part of the evolution. This is about an 18-year period, and you can see how Dr. Shapiro, our dear friend, and our people in our R&D team keep working on the products, keep developing the products. It's a never-ending quest of ours to build the best product we can.